guys, welcome back. Today I have for you my very first bridal makeup tutorial. I have never done a bridal look before. I don't know why it took me so long, but here I am, better late than never, right? So I wanted to create something that was very beautiful, smoky, not too dramatic, but not too natural. I know for some people this might be like super extreme, but for me this is like the happy medium between not too natural and not super dramatic. And I used all drugstore / affordable makeup products and drugstore / affordable makeup brushes as well. A lot of the products in today's video are my favorites, like holy grail products. I know that they hold up really well. They're gonna look beautiful in pictures. They're long wearing. And I also give you guys some tips and tricks along the way that hopefully will be helpful if you guys are looking into doing your own makeup for your wedding. So I'm not getting married or anything yet, but if I were to get married tomorrow, this is the look that I would do. It's me, it's my look. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to grab a snack and let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing that I always do, of course, are my brows. I was actually gonna skip through this, but I was like, you know what? I might as well just show them what I use because this is a full face look, so I figured I would just share with you guys my current go-to brow products that are not just affordable, but that last all day and night, which is of course what everybody wants on their wedding day. So I'm gonna start off with my CoverGirl Ultra Fine Brow Pencil in the shade Rich Brown. I'm gonna take this and just outline my brows and follow along with my natural shape. I know brows are personal preference, so you guys have seen me do this a million times. This is just how I like to fill in my brows. I feel like it just shapes my face the best, and outlining them first, it just makes it really easy when I go in and fill them in afterwards. The tip on this is so nice. This is honestly a dupe for the Anastasia Brow Wiz, so if you really like that one or you maybe have been looking into getting it, I would get this one because it's a quarter of the price, and honestly I like the formula of this CoverGirl one better. Then I'm gonna go in with my Kokie Brow Pomade. This one I have in shade Dark Brunette. This is another dupe for an Anastasia Brow product. I love this stuff and this formula is great. It's literally identical to the dip brow from Anastasia. So with the pomade, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of my brows, and I'm gonna be using an LA Girl 207 brush. If you can't get your hands on this brush, e.l.f. also has a really good angled brush, and it's like $2 or $3. You can get it at like Walmart or Target, CVS, wherever they sell e.l.f. And I like to spoolie through the pomade as I go through just to distribute the product evenly throughout the rest of my brow hairs. So I always have to clean up my brows. So today I'm using the NYX Full Coverage Concealer in the shade Beige. It has a really nice thick creamy formula, perfect for priming or for your brows. So I'm using this ColourPop flat shader brush. It's like a concealer brush, and I'm gonna just take this and clean up the brows. This makes a huge difference. You don't have to do this, but I truly feel like I just can't live without this step. Like, it just transforms the brows to another level. This brush is one of my absolute favorites. It's the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush, and that's exactly what it is. It's fluffy, it's perfect. So I'm gonna be using this later on in the video, but for now I'm gonna just take this to blend out the edges. This brow is always my fave. This one is not. Okay, brows are on. I know they look a little harsh, but I feel like once the makeup is all done, everything just comes together. I'm gonna go in and prime my lids with my NYX Proof It Waterproof Eyeshadow Base. I love this stuff. It doesn't conceal your veins or anything. It's just like a clear primer, but it makes your shadows super vibrant and last, and they don't crease or anything. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna just take that same e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush and just go through and blend that primer even up towards the brow bone. I'm gonna use a little bit of this NYX No Filter powder just to go ahead and set. This one is in medium olive. I just like to give myself a nice, smooth, even base for my shadow. You don't have to do this, but I recommend it, especially if you have oily eyelids. Now, I don't have oily eyelids. My eyelids are pretty normal. They're not oily or dry, but I always like to because I feel like everything just goes on a lot smoother. For eyeshadow palette today, I'm going to be using this Profusion Sultry palette. I found this at Walmart and I am obsessed with this palette. First of all, it comes with this amazing dual-ended brush, which I'm going to be using today, so I'm going to keep that aside. The first shade I'm going to be using is Ecstatic, which is like a really pretty soft orangey coral color. It's a perfect neutral blending shade. So I'm using a Profusion blending brush. I got this, I forget exactly where. I think it was from TJ Maxx, and it's just a big fluffy brush, and I'm going to just take that color and start working it right in the crease. You can see the pigment is amazing. Pigment isn't just amazing in these palettes, but like the actual formula and blendability is like out of this world like just so good for the price. So I love these eyeshadows. So I'm gonna take this color and I'm gonna really build it up right in the crease. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you get the color on your lid, that's totally fine. This is just gonna really help us blend everything together. I know that not all Walmarts sell Profusion. Like I had to go to a different Walmart to get this palette, so I would look around, and I would also definitely try Target because Target also does sell Profusion. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just apply some e.l.f. eye tapes. I absolutely love these. You can use regular tape as well if you don't have these. So I like to cut them in half, which was one of your recommendations, so that you can save the eye tapes. And I'm just gonna apply this right on the edge because I really want like a clean edge. And these are super gentle around the eyes, which is why I really like them, whereas, you know, tape can be a little bit more harsh. Then I'm gonna be using the Profusion blending brush that came with the palette, and I'm gonna be taking the shade Wonder and Zing. I'm gonna mix those two shades, tap off the excess a little bit because you don't want it to be too harsh, and I'm gonna start very lightly building that shade up, or both of those shades up in the crease. This brush is so good. It's so soft, it doesn't shed, it's amazing. So the key to this is just not having a lot of product on your brush so that you can really create that nice gradient in the crease and so it doesn't look too harsh. Then I'm picking up the shade 3 Wishes, which is such a beautiful like champagne, pinky, oh, it's so pretty. So I'm gonna take that on a flat shader brush. Once I dip, I'm gonna go ahead and spray. I'm gonna use my Wet n Wild Rose Water Spray. I'm gonna take the shade and I'm gonna apply it right in the inner part of my lid, bringing it slightly towards the middle. And this color, I'm definitely gonna be building it up. So I'm gonna really pack on that shade. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start doing this smoky shadow liner. So when I did this look, the first thing that I wanted to do was kind of really start out by making the look very smoky and sultry. So I'm gonna be taking the shade Bewitched, which is like a really deep purple color. It kind of has a little bit of a sheen to it, but nothing much. I'm gonna use a small angled brush from e.l.f. to do this. I'm just gonna basically do my liner, well, my eyeshadow as if it was my liner. So I'm gonna take that shadow and I'm just gonna start applying it to create that line. As if it was like gel liner, I'm just doing a wing with this shadow. And having that tape there really, really helps because you don't have to be super perfect with it. It's gonna give you a perfect line every time, no matter what you do, so. Then I'm gonna be using this flat, kind of fluffy, white-haired brush. This is from Amazon. I will link the kit that I'm using down below. I'm gonna be using a lot of the brushes throughout the video from Amazon, and they're all from that same kit. So just check the description box. So with that same color, I'm also gonna take the shade Nimble, which is like a matte version of that color we were just using. And I'm gonna just take those two colors on this brush. I'm gonna start smoking that eyeshadow out. And I'm really gonna focus that smokiness on the outer part of the crease. And I'm doing this ever so lightly because these colors are super pigmented. You don't need to like dab your brush in here super hard. You can see I'm literally doing this super lightly and I'm getting so much pigment. So just kind of flicking the eyeshadow upwards a little bit to give it that smoky effect. And then I'm gonna go in with that Profusion blending brush from earlier that I was using in my crease, and I'm gonna just blend as I go. This look is very simple, but you have to have patience with it. It requires a lot of steps, but it's very easy. Just takes a lot of time. I'm actually gonna switch over to the same exact brush kit, but it's just a different brush. It's like a fluffier version of that same brush that I was using. And I'm gonna just take those same colors. I just wanna switch it up because I feel like this is gonna blend it a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. I'm also going to be taking a little bit of the shade Caring, and I'm going to be mixing it again with the shade 3 Wishes. Just going to kind of reapply that and also apply it in the lid, mixing it a little bit with a darker color, because then once you blend it out, it's just going to create this really gorgeous shade. You see how nice of a gradient this one is, whereas this one is kind of just like, so we're going to fix this eye. So just take really light dabs in the shadow. This is what I'm doing with the shadow. Just like ever so lightly. And I'm tapping off the excess also. And just blending that out. I don't know how Profusion does it. Like, I don't know how they make these eyeshadows so good for so cheap, but I'm not mad about it because they're amazing. So then I'm gonna go ahead and add some gel liner. This one is from LA Girl. It's in the shade Jet Black, and that's exactly what it is. You could get a waterproof version, but honestly, I feel like even though this isn't like the waterproof version, it does last all day. Like, it doesn't budge or smear or anything. So just personal preference, but I believe they do have a waterproof version, but don't quote me. The Maybelline Gel Studio Liner in Blackest Black is also really good if you can't find this one. Okay, so then to do this, I'm gonna go ahead and use an e.l.f. angled eyeliner brush. It's like the tiniest little brush. The brush kit that I have also comes with an eyeliner brush like this. I just don't know where it's at right now, so I'm gonna just use this one. So with this, I'm just gonna do a wing. Okay, sticking with the same brush kit, I'm just using a different brush. This one's like a more domed, rounded brush. I'm gonna take that gel liner and I'm gonna smudge it out. Give it that smoky look. I'm also gonna add more of that dark purple shadow that I was using to really smoke it out. Also, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip a little bit, just the tiniest bit, into the gel liner. And you don't wanna do a lot of this. This is where you have to be careful because this is gonna get, if you do too much, it can get very dark very quick. But I really love that smoky liner look, as you can see. And so when you dip into the shadow and then a little bit into the gel liner, it's gonna give you that effect. But you have to be very careful that you don't use a lot because that's when it can get all messed up and just look crazy. So just do it ever so lightly. You don't have to do this, by the way. You could just totally leave the look the way it was, like just with the gel liner, and you don't have to smudge it out. But I just love that smudged out, smoky look. I feel like it's so like, I don't like saying the word sexy, but I feel like it is. Does anybody else feel like awkward saying that word? Or is it just me? And really the eyeshadow that we put underneath there is just gonna help to blend out that smokiness that we're gonna be doing. Like, but if you just plan on doing a gel liner, you don't really have to do that. Like if you just wanna leave it like that, you don't have to do the shadow underneath. But if you're a beginner though, it could also act as a guide whenever you're doing your wings too, so. When you go back in to add your lid shade, I feel like it looks pretty when you have it mixed with like a little bit of the darkness. It kind of just creates its own shade. So you don't have to really worry about the lid shade because you can always just go back in and add more and make it more intense and then just blend it out some more. I don't know why it like totally slipped my mind that there's actually a black shadow in here. I've used it before, but like for today, I'm just thinking of the gel liner. So if you are a little intimidated by blending the outer part of your crease out with a gel liner, you could totally use the black as well, just a little bit, top off the excess and then just blend it out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the eye tape and you can see how sharp that edge is. And I'm gonna go ahead and blend it out. It might be a little different. Yeah, this one's a little different, but I'll make it work later. But yeah, these eye tapes are a lifesaver. You see how like nice that came off? It's like super gentle. So I'm gonna, of course, wipe away the fallout. Then for lashes, I'm gonna go in with these from the Lash Plug NJ. A subscriber actually sent these to me and I'm in love with her lashes. They're so beautiful. I know these technically aren't drugstore, but they are under $10 and they are amazing. Like such good quality lashes, you can reuse them. I don't remember the style name of these particular ones, but I will leave them linked below. Another really good option for you guys are the Kiss Lash Couture Triple Push-Up Collection lashes. You can get these at Ulta, Walmart, Target. These are really great as well, but I always use Kiss lashes, so I wanted to use these. But the Kiss ones are amazing as well, and they have a bunch of different styles for those of you who maybe don't want a super dramatic lash. They have really natural lashes as well. Also, the Demi Wispies would be really beautiful too if you don't want to go super dramatic with the lashes, but I'm really extra, so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop these on. Okay, lashes are on. Now, of course, we can jump into the skin. So on your wedding day, you wanna make sure that you are cleansing and you're moisturizing. So I've already done that. That's super important, whether you have dry or oily skin. You gotta moisturize it just so all your products go on nice and smooth and they can just really absorb nicely into your skin. So I'm first gonna prime with my Wet n Wild Rose 3-in-1 Primer Water. I just did like a first impression review on all the brand new Wet n Wild products. I will leave that linked below, but this has been a new favorite of mine and I just started using it, but I love it already. Primer waters for me are a must, especially when I know that I'm gonna be wearing my makeup for a long period of time because it's gonna prevent that cakey, powdery look. It's just gonna make everything go nice and seamless onto the skin and just last so much better and so much longer. Okay, then I'm gonna be priming and I'm gonna be using two different primers. So I have combo skin, so my T-zone is pretty oily. The rest of my face is pretty normal to dry. So I'm first gonna start off with my Kokie Smooth Glow Hydrating Primer, one of my favorites at the drugstore. And Kokie is available at Rite Aid and Walmart, by the way. This is exactly what it says. It feels like a super lightweight gel moisturizer. So I like to apply this pretty much on my cheeks, a little bit around my nose and my mouth because it gets pretty dry for me in those areas. It's weird because like this will be oily, my forehead will be oily, but like everything else is like normal. And then I'm going to be using my Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot Primer for my forehead. And this is really good because it doesn't make your face dry, but it absorbs the oil really nicely. So you just need like a really tiny pinch and a little bit will go a long way. So I'm just taking that all over my forehead, especially right here. This is a big oil spot for me. Okay, for foundation, I have so many favorites, but the first thing that came to mind when I thought of a wedding was the L'Oreal Pro Glow foundation. This is what it looks like. I just picked up a brand new one. I love this foundation. It is beautiful, long wearing, great coverage, and it gives you that natural glow from within. It's not dewy, it doesn't have glitter in it, but it just makes you look so radiant and fresh. And I feel like for anybody, I mean, who wouldn't want that? If you have super oily skin, I recommend the CoverGirl Matte Made Foundation or the new Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. But the reason I'm using this one is just because, again, I really want that natural radiance, and those foundations are very matte. They're not cakey or anything, but they are more on the matte side, and I want something a little bit more natural looking and just more like glowy and pretty. And I like this because it doesn't make me dewy or anything like excessively, like it's just so pretty. So I have this one in the shade 205 Natural Beige. And I'm gonna be using my e.l.f. Total Face Sponge, which I love. And I'm just gonna pounce this into the skin. This color might be a little too dark. Like I feel like I could probably go down a shade, but that's totally fine because I'm gonna just make it work with concealer and powder and everything. So yeah, it's a little dark, but whatever. So this gives you really good medium coverage. It's lightweight, it's buildable. And I'll also drag it down my neck. Okay, next up for concealer, one of my favorite drugstore concealers is from Flower Beauty. This is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer. I'm gonna go in with two different shades. So I have shade light, medium, and light. Light is a little too light, and light medium is like a good natural color for me, but I wanna mix the two just to really bring a little bit more lightness. Actually, maybe I might not have to. This concealer is Such good coverage. It gives you this natural radiance. It's hydrating, but it's not too dewy. It's just perfect. So I'm gonna take this on the high points of my face, and I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade Light, just a little bit, and apply that as well, kind of mixing it. So creamy. I love it. I really also love the Ulta Beauty Full Coverage Concealer. There's a lot of favorite concealers. Makeup Revolution has a good one, but I just really like the radiance that this gives. It just kind of goes with the foundation really well because they both give you like that natural glowy look. Take the same sponge and just blend it out. I like to look up as I do this so I can really get under there and blend. See how instantly that blends? Like, it's such a good formula. This concealer is also really good, not just for like brides, but just in general, like if you're going to work or school, because when you first apply it, it feels like super hydrating and almost a little bit cooling. Like, it's so weird, but I guess that's like the light illusion particles to it. It feels really, really good, so I love it. So the sponge is really big, as you can see, so I'm gonna use a smaller brush to get in these small areas right here, but I'm just kind of using this first to blend it out initially, and then I'm gonna take brush, and the brush I'm gonna use is the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush once again. I'm gonna just blend out the inner corners of that concealer and right in between my brows. I'm also gonna blend out any small creases that I get. Okay, before applying your concealer, you wanna go in and just blend out any creases that you may have, because sometimes when you let your concealer sit for a little bit, it's gonna crease just naturally. So you wanna go in before you set and blend those away so that you're not setting your creases. You get me. So for powder, my favorite powder, like of all time, like it's just the best powder that I have. It's the Collab Set the Stage Ultra Fine Loose Setting Powder. So you can get this at Sally's Beauty Supply. I know it's not drugstore, I'm aware, but it's the best powder that I've tried, and it beats a lot of my high-end powders. I think powders are super important on your wedding day, obviously, because you don't want to have a white cast, and this powder will give you the smoothest, most like airbrush effect to your skin, and it's not going to give you a white cast, so it's going to look beautiful. I love it. So I like to apply this with my sponge, so I'm just going to dip into the lid, and then I like to apply from the outer corner to the inner corner, and this is going to prevent any excess creasing. Sometimes I still go in like right in the middle, but I'm like, no, outer corner to inner corner. It's like such a small step, but it really makes a difference. It's literally so flawless. I've never used a powder as smoothing as this one. Some other powders that I really like are the Rimmel Stay Matte Loose Powder. I also really like the No. 7 translucent powder. Just some other options. I have a whole dedicated video on my favorite affordable translucent powders. The Maybelline Fit Me one is also really good, but this one is just, it's my favorite, like my number one. If I had to choose one, it's this one. I'm also gonna take the powder on my sponge and just set my face with it. Doing this will really press the powder in without giving you a powdery look. And my sponge is damp, it's not wet, and it's not overly damp. It has some movement to it though, and you can feel that it does have some moisture to it, but it's not excessive. Then what I'm gonna do is go ahead and set my face some more, just because I really want not just a little bit extra coverage, but I want just everything to last so much longer. So I am gonna go in with my NYX No Filter powder in medium olive. Once again, this is the one that I used earlier. Has a little bit of a tint to it too, so again, it's gonna be really good for slight extra coverage. It's not really a powder foundation, but with the tint, it's gonna help a lot. So I'm using an Equate powder brush. You can get this at Walmart, and these brushes are so good. So I'm just doing a light layer of this because I don't want anything to be cakey, but I want to make sure that I set. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set my brows because I feel like I'm gonna forget. So I'm gonna use my NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. I love this stuff. Seriously, it's so good. This will make your brows last all day, but it's not gonna be like glue on your brows. Like, it's not gonna make them stiff like hairspray, I should say, but it's gonna make them last. They're not gonna melt, they're not gonna move. It's just perfect. And since it's tinted, it gives the brows a little bit more of like a fuller, more even look, because sometimes you can get powder or like eyeshadow on them, so this really helps with that. Okay, moving into bronzer. My holy grail bronzer is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I feel like you can't go wrong with this stuff. It's such a buttery, creamy formula. It's not muddy, it's not orange, it's brown. It's really, really good. Literally gives you like a sun-kissed look. Something else you guys could do if you maybe don't have this or you don't want to get it or whatever the case may be, you could always just go out and get your favorite pressed powder and just get like a couple shades darker, and you can use that as a bronzer as well. Since the powder that you use for your face is matte, like to set your face, if you get a darker version, the matte color is going to be perfect for contouring because you don't really want to go in with a shimmer because I feel like it's going to throw the look off. So I'm going to use this Wet n Wild brush. This is the P60. It's like a powder brush, but I really like how it's a little bit tapered. Makes it really good for bronzing the skin. So I like to bronze and then contour. Then for blush, I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild Color Icon blushes. So I literally ran out of these like last week, and I just ordered them a few days ago online on Wet n Wild's website because I'm that in love with them. I ordered a bunch of other stuff too, so I figured why not order these. So my favorite color on the planet is Apricot in the Middle. Oh, I love a fresh blush. It's so pretty. So this is like a peachy apricot color, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it. It looks like nothing in the pan, but when you apply it, I'm telling you, it is the most beautiful color on earth. And they also did get this new shade, which is called Just Peachy, which kind of looks like the same exact color, except I know it's probably hard to tell, but Just Peachy is matte, whereas Apricot in the Middle has a little bit of a sheen. So I'm gonna just mix the two. And I'm gonna use the stippling brush that came with my Amazon brush kit. I've been using Wet n Wild blushes for years, like since high school. I've tried every single shade and they all are so beautiful, long wearing, and very pigmented. So tap off the excess. With your blush, you wanna just apply it right to the apples of the cheeks, but gradually blend it upwards towards your bronzer so that it looks natural. Ooh. And it's such a nice color. I feel like it goes really well with like the shade that we have going on in the crease. Oh, you know what I just realized? I forgot to contour. I didn't really contour. Okay, that's fine. I'm like getting so excited over my new blushes. So I'm just gonna blend this out with my powder brush that I was using earlier. I'm gonna use this brush. This is the P65 from Wet n Wild. And I'm gonna actually use this palette from Koki. How could I forget to contour? Oh my gosh. So this is the Koki Powder Contour Palette. Love this palette. Reminds me so much of the Kat Von D one. I'm gonna just take these two colors right here. I'm gonna really concentrate those shades. I like this palette because it's a little bit more cool tone than what I normally go for, but it's not too cool tone. And so it's not gonna look ashy or anything on your face. It's gonna just give you like a natural shadow. I do a little bit below my lip. It's gonna give you a pouty lip effect. I'm not the best at nose contouring, so I just take the contour shade and I just do a little bit down the sides of my nose. And then for highlight, this is the most perfect highlight if you do not like anything super intense. And the minute that I got this, the first thing I can think of was a bride, because it's just the most beautiful glow from within. It's not like chunky or glittery, and it's not gonna be super beaming, but it's gonna be really, really beautiful. So this is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in shade number 10, Be My Highlight. You can get this at Ulta. It looks like whatever, like a regular highlight in the pan. It doesn't look like much. It looks just like kind of blah, but when you apply it, it is stunning. The brush that I'm using, you guessed it, is from Amazon. When you build it up, it's gonna be a little bit more intense, but it's not gonna be anything like a Makeup Revolution highlight or anything like that. It's gonna be very natural. You see how natural that is? Like, it's not chunky, it's just so pretty. So I'm gonna spray my face 2 more times. So now that I'm all done with my powder products, I'm gonna go ahead and just take some more of my Rose Primer Water Spray again. Okay, so now we can finish up the lower lashes. So of course, sticking with the same eyeshadow palette, I am gonna start off with a little bit of the shade Wonder, and I'm gonna be applying that on my lower lashes. And I'm gonna use another brush from Amazon to do this. And this brush still has a little bit of black left over, but that's totally fine because I wanted to use a little bit of darkness under there anyway. I'm gonna also dip into the shade Bewitched, and I'm gonna be taking that same brush I'm gonna kind of connect that to the upper lash line. I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade Ecstatic. I'm gonna also just apply that under there. I like to drag my shadow pretty low because if you get any like small fine lines like me, this will really take away from that. So using a lighter shade to do this will be best. Like you don't want to go in with like a black to do it, but if you use like the transition colors to do this, it just gives you that smoky effect. It's not too dramatic, but you still get that effect and it's going to take away from the lines. Something else that you want to do, no matter what look you're doing, I don't have my mic on. I forgot to clip my mic on. I clipped it on, it was just for a little bit of the video. We're back in action, I'm sorry about that. So what I was saying is no matter what look you're doing, you always want to make sure you tight line your upper waterline. So that's this line up here. If you don't line your upper waterline, there's gonna be a gap in between your falsies and your real lashes and it's gonna look super unnatural. So you wanna make sure that you are always lining that. So I'm gonna go in with my LA Girl Gel Pencil Liner. This one is just in the shade Black. I like this liner because it doesn't like smudge on my contacts or anything, so it's like super convenient. And then to line my waterline, you could use the same liner, but I want to do a brown. So this is literally the same exact pencil, it's just in the shade Dark Brown. I love brown liner. I think it's so pretty. It's not as like dramatic as black, but you still get that like bold look. Then for the lower lashes, I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Mega Length Mascara. If I could recommend two brands of mascaras to you guys, it would be Wet n Wild and Essence as far as like affordable brands goes. Honestly, I don't really love a lot of like high-end mascaras because I feel like the drugstore has really great ones, but those two brands are my favorite because they're not clumpy, they don't flake, so you're not gonna have like dry mascara on your face by the end of the night, so they're definitely like your best bet. I personally don't really like waterproof mascaras, but if you feel like you absolutely need to, they do have waterproof versions in Essence and Wet n Wild as well. I almost forgot to highlight the inner corner and brow bone highlight, so for this, I'm just gonna use the same Essence highlighter from earlier. Okay, to do this, I'm using a Wet n Wild pencil brush. This is the P10. So my lips are dying for a lip color, so let's do this. So I'm gonna be using the Kokie Cosmetics Retractable Lip Pencil. This one is in shade Warm Nude. I really like these because they fade really nicely. Like, I don't know, throughout the day, it's just not gonna be splotchy or you're not gonna get like a butthole lip or anything from these. They're really, really good. They don't break. It's a creamy formula. They have so many beautiful colors, but this one's my favorite color. So I'm gonna line and fill in my lips just so that it can last 10 times longer. Then I'm gonna top that off with the Pixie by Petra Liquid Lipstick, and this one is my favorite color in Matte Beige. This is a really good formula, and you can see the brush is pointed, so it's perfect for like really being super precise with your lips. These also smell really good. They're like fruity. And this will dry down matte, by the way, so when it dries down, it's just, I feel like, better for kissing versus a lip gloss. It can just get all over the place, so that's why I would just stick to a liquid lipstick. But just obviously make sure that beforehand you are moisturizing your lips, exfoliating, all that fun stuff. If you don't have an exfoliator, you can literally make one at home with sugar and honey, mix it all around, apply it to your lips, take a toothbrush, an old toothbrush, and just scrub your lips away, take a wet paper towel, wipe it away, and your lips are exfoliated. It's such a simple task and it's super easy to do, but you gotta do it, it's a must. The final thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and set my face. My favorite setting spray in the entire world is the Milani Make It Last setting spray. It really does work, really does make your makeup last, and it's just gonna look so beautiful throughout the rest of the night. If you have super dry skin, they have a Make It Dewy version. Really makes you dewy, so I wouldn't use too much of it, but if you are looking for something to make you look dewy and fresh, I would use that one. But this will really make your makeup last all day. It's not gonna make you matte or anything, it's just gonna make it last. Something I always tell people, whenever you spray your face, you don't want to like smile or do any like sudden movements with your face, because then you're gonna get those lines on your face and your makeup is still setting. So you want to make sure that it sets like this. So you gotta have resting bitch face for a little bit. For me, that's not a problem. My face always looks like this. I always tell people like I'm a lot nicer than what I look, because I always have resting bitch face, but I'm like I feel like I'm like one of the nicest people ever. So that is it for this bridal makeup tutorial. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know when or if you guys are getting married anytime soon. What are your plans? Where are you having it? What's your honeymoon gonna be like? I would love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for everything. I hope you have a magical time during your wedding day. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.